Hello and welcome to all you dear astrology friends. Here is the horoscopes for the last month of the year for December of 2023. So let's have a look in general what this energy is all about, what is the most important flavor, you could say, of the month. And then for each sign, particularly very concise and precise, having to look at what the energies and what kind of areas of life this is falling. So, of course, it's an important month. It's very, for a lot of us, a very happy month, and for others, a very depressing month. I mean, it depends on your situation, and especially, for those of you who are kind of celebrating Christmas Eve or Christmas and New Year's Eve and all of that, I'm going to have a look at those energies as well. Let's start with that. Christmas time, the moon will be, for most of the countries, it will be in Gemini, which is a very talkative kind of sign too that you can have. So, which is fine. It's airy. It's not too deep. And Venus is trining Neptune. I like that. That is very compassionate. Venus will be in Scorpio. Venus will be in Scorpio. Yes. No. What am I saying? Yes, in Scorpio. No. Venus in Scorpio. Yes, in Scorpio. It's almost the whole month that Venus is going to be in Scorpio. It's going to trine Neptune. So that's very compassionate, empathic. We kind of understand what's going on and we understand the other person. But at the same time, what I'm a bit worried about in December time is this very Sagittarian, blunt, open, optimistic, yes, but very, I'm going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I don't care if you can take it or not. I'm going to say it anyways. It's that kind of vibe. Of course, Christmas, family triggers. They are our biggest triggers, family and friends, of course, because the ones that are close to us, we live. I just truly believe that we have soul contracts with these people. Tell me in the comments what you think about that. I want to know. This has nothing to do with astrology, but anyway, the thing is that I think that it's going to be, also a vibe of. I'm going to say everything here. I'm going to wear my tongue on the sleeve, so to speak. So that's Christmas. New Year's Eve is a bit more lighter, I think, as well. Although the moon is in Virgo, so we will want to have the things all perfect. There is Venus in Sagittarius, and that's a totally different vibe with Mars there as well, with Mercury there as well. It's very optimistic. It's probably we're going to talk about our travels that we're going to do, or at least our vision for the future. So it's a way more relaxed energy, you could say. But let's get now into the whole of December. What is the most important thing of the whole month of December? There are no eclipses. There are no, Venus retrogrades or Mars retrogrades going on, but there is a retrograde going on. And it's, the most important thing of the month is the Mercury retrograde. It's at the end of November, it's already starting to go into its shadow when it's already in Sagittarius, Mercury, and then it's going to go into Capricorn, and at 8 degrees of Capricorn, it's going to stop, and it's going to go backwards into 7 degrees Capricorn, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, Capricorn, and then jump back into Sagittarius. So it's like this retrograde is going on in 2 signs, in Capricorn and in Sagittarius. So we have to look at 2 places in our chart where this rethink is going on. I mean, retrogrades, especially Mercury retrogrades, is about thinking, rethinking something, reassessing something. What's going on here? How can we do it better? And it could mean, of course, because the Mercury goes retrograde, that it becomes a bit more difficult, that area of life where the Mercury is in. But it's in order to make it better. So whatever it is that is transiting, it's in order to make it better and more stable. That's why retrogrades are going on. And it's on the 14th, so in the midst of the month, or around about the 14th of December, that this Mercury goes backwards. So it will be back into Sagittarius, as I said, at 14th of December, 8 degrees, and then it goes the 15th of December and so on, it goes backwards. And on the 24th of December, so around that Christmas Eve, it goes back into Sagittarius at 29 degrees of Sagittarius. It goes direct again. The Mercury goes direct again on the 3rd, around about the 3rd of January at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So these degrees, if you've got planets there, is very, very important. It's out of its shadow around and about the 21st of January, when Mercury will be hitting 8 degrees of Capricorn again. So that's the cycle in a nutshell that we're having here. But what is this all about? So when Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, Capricorn on a collective level is about work. It's about work, and if you're not working, it's about the practicalities of life. It's about our structures that we have. So we're going to think about that. We're going to think about the end of the year. We're going to think about our structures. A lot of you will think about work and how to improve it, how to change it, maybe to give up a job and to go for a new job, all that kind of things. It also retrogrades in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is the one that has the long-term view. It's also the one who has the helicopter view, who sees better because it's from a distance. You can notice when you are in a traffic jam. When you are in a traffic jam, you're in the midst of it. You have a short vision, right? Because you see, oh yeah, how long is it? Oh, I think it's quite long, I see that car and that car and that car, but that's it. Further than that, I can't see where the traffic jam is starting. Is it 100 meters? Is it a kilometer? I can't see it. When you go like the bird, flying and going more on a distance, you see, oh, there is a traffic jam. That's the cause there. And you have this overview, which is also what astrology is about. It's a 9th house practice, which is the Sagittarian energy. So we have the helicopter view. And because of that, it makes things a bit easier. It makes things easier when you understand what the problem is. If you go in a helicopter view and you see, oh yeah, okay, the traffic jam will be approximately, it's going to be 1 hour because, it's a couple of kilometers, 1 hour, it will get solved normally, right? So that is what we're going through. We're going to also the bigger picture, the longer term, the connecting all the dots, you could say, in order for us to understand our lives in a better way. It's a lot about belief. We are going to, our belief systems are going to be tested with this Mercury retrograde as well. Now, so we know that we're having a retrograde. So we know that, with Mercury is the planet of communication. We also I want to warn you, especially around if you have those holidays, events with family, with friends. The thing that I want to warn you is to be aware of your tongue. And I mean to watch what you're saying, not only because it's a Mercury retrograde. Sometimes we say things and then, the Mercury goes retrograde and we say, oh, why did we do that? And you can't turn back the clock, right? But you have to fix it in some way. So for a lot of people, and of course, the double whammy in Sagittarius, at the end of the year with this Mercury there, it's like a double whammy of, speaking your truth so quickly that it's, was it the right thing to do? You are going to reflect on that. So watch what you're going to say. Prepare yourself for the holidays. If you know that you're going to be triggered, that what you're going to say is really important. It could be the other way around as well, that people are going to say things that they're going to regret, or that they have to kind of come back to it later when Mercury goes direct. Now, another vibe that is very important, it's not just a Mercury retrograde. we always have to look in the astrology, when this Mercury retrograde is going on, what is the flavor of that Mercury? And it begins quite well, because when Mercury is getting into Capricorn, and around about when it goes stationary around about the 8th of the 14th of December, when Mercury is at 8 degrees, it just has trined Jupiter. So that's lovely. That is lovely energy. And that means that people will get the bigger picture, but also the short term, you could say, vision. So it's like a trine is a nice energy. So it starts off quite good with this Mercury retrograde. But yes, there is a but. When Mercury will be in Sagittarius, which is the end of November, beginning of December, and then the end of December, and then the beginning of January, it's going to bump into Neptune 3 times. Now, is it a red flag? Oh, yes, it is. And that's why these astrology forecasts are all about. It's not to tell you what to do. It's just to give you the weather, the weather of nature. It's in nature, right? So Mercury is going to square Neptune 3 times. I'm going to tell you when. First of all, already the 27th of November, Mercury will be squaring Neptune. So that's going to be around 24, 25 degrees when Mercury is there in Sagittarius. It's going to square Neptune. Second time, around the end of the year of December. So 26, 27, 28, 29, it's going to square again. Now in the retrograde phase, it's going to square again and bump into Neptune. Third time, when Mercury goes direct, on the 8th and the 9th of January, it's going to bump again into Neptune. So this is a Neptunian vibe for sure. This is and it's a square, so which means tension, and which means we have to watch out here. When Mercury squares Neptune, we think that we are more intuitive, but we have to question ourselves very, very strongly. Is it the truth that we are seeing? Is it the truth that is presented to us? You know, Mercury is a trickster, especially in Sagittarius, because people with Mercury, let's think about people who were born with Mercury in Sagittarius. They are the wiseacres of the zodiac, right? They know best. They have a lot of wisdom. The thing is that they probably do know best most of the times, 95% maybe, or 90%, or maybe 80%. But what about those other 20%? That's what I'm talking about here with the Mercury in a square to Neptune. So it's a humbling aspect. So be aware that when you think, yes, this is the truth, and especially with judging, right? So be aware, or other people judging you, don't take it too seriously. You know your truth, right? But with Mercury squaring up to Neptune, things that are said, people are going to take it in the wrong way, or you could rub the wrong way, you could say, without even doing that on purpose, right? So with Mercury square Neptune, keys get lost, cell phones get lost. You know, it's that kind of energy that also it reminds me of that movie Lost in Translation, right? So be humble and question yourself, right? So the thing about Sagittarius is, yes, you may know the truth. You may be a wise person. You may know the truth, but be humble. And especially with the judging, because Sagittarius loves to judge, right? Like, you are not good, or you did that, or you this, or you that. And that's why your life is a mess, and blah, 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 blah. Be aware of being humble, because it can show itself in a way that the finger, it's three fingers turning back to you. I hope you understand. You understand what I'm trying to say here. And it's a pitfall trait of the Sagittarian. Yes, they want to go for the truth and nothing but the truth. But the downside is, when they are not on the right track, that, they can look as a fool themselves as well, you see. And that's the humbling experience. It's also when you have a certain wisdom around you, when you have a certain consciousness around you. And for instance, let's say towards a child, you see that the child is making a mistake. It's not going to help the child saying, I knew it when you were doing that. It's not going to help it. It's that kind of energy that I'm seeing here. So it's also easy to judge. So let's not, during these days, watch our tongues, and not judge too much. And when we are judged, just say, especially when you know that it's coming from a place that it's not really the most happy place. Anyway, so that's the biggest message. It's about also flexibility, for sure, because a lot of planets will be in Sagittarius. I mean, the Sun and Mercury and Mars as well. Mars, the whole month, is also in Sagittarius, which means that our actions, Mars, are going to be driven by our beliefs. Right? So we have to be very careful with that. It's, I'm not going to say this is a maniac energy, but it can be indeed a very enthusiastic energies. And sometimes if we're enthusiastic about the wrong things, or if we're enthusiastic and we're not seeing something clear, it can be really, like, I'm going to invest in that house, I'm going to buy it, and you don't have any money on the bank. Right? It's that kind of thing. I'm exaggerating here now, but it's to give you that flavor. So, but a lot of fire energy. So where is it good for? It's good for being humble. Absolutely. It's good for being wise and owning your wisdom, but not, bragging with it. Or how do you say that in English? And it's also good for having a vision. And it's time to some belief systems that we have to change them, to see the ones that are not truthful. Mercury square Neptune. Otherwise, Mercury wouldn't be squaring Neptune 3 times. I mean, the universe is trying to talk to us in that way, like, be aware. Mercury square Neptune. It's when we have it, we can think that we are psychic, for instance. I'm just, again, exaggerating a little bit just to make a point here. Mercury square Neptune, I'm psychic. I know what's going on there, and you're just totally wrong. You see what I mean? That's the energy. But we want to use it in a good way. And using it in a good way is question your belief systems. Absolutely question them and see how they unfold. We are going to see when very clear after the 9th of January, then something will be revealed for sure. And now we know the truth. But it's only, Neptune has this function of trust until the right time comes to be the information to be revealed. That's the message of this Mercury square Neptune as well. Let's get into this. Another thing I want to say is that Venus will be in Scorpio. Venus will be in Scorpio as from the 5th up until the 29th, and will make a ton of aspects. So Venus is trining Neptune at the end. I already said that, which is marvelous, which is fantastic, but it's also going to jump into Jupiter, Uranus, and so on. So it's going to do lots of things, which could mean that women, because it's represented by Venus, are going to be a bit all over the place. And men, well, they're going to, it's especially men, because Mars is, as a collective, Mars is representing men. And with this Mercury there and the square, so you are warned now, the men out there, to watch your tongue and to, all the things that I just said, to be very aware of that indeed. Okay, let's get into the signs. I'm going to have a look at this Mercury retrograde first and foremost, and also Mars and Venus. What are they going to do? For Aries people, all of this rethinking starts in your 10th house. So for Aries, this is definitely for you a rethinking of your career, if you have one. So use it. And in a practical way, are the structures still okay in my career? What do I want to do? And then in Sagittarius is your 9th house. So for you, it's definitely your belief system for sure. It's a very serious month for you. Although you could say the end of the year, people just relax and For most Aries people, it's not. This square to Neptune is in your 12th house. So it's actually things from the unconscious that kind of, or patterns that you've had for, a long time that you are run by, unconscious patterns that will be brought into the light. Mars is also in Sagittarius, so putting a lot of energy there is good for you. If you can travel, do travel, be very active there. So you could be maybe skiing or whatever, being very active whilst you're traveling. And Venus in the 8th house is very intimate. So on a relationship level, it could be a bit more intense, but there's transformation going on for you for sure. It's also money. When it comes to money, you can attract more money. You can attract more value in your life that you get from other people, whilst there is support, financial support from clients or a spouse, or on another level, it's intimacy, sexuality, intimacy, all that good, juicy stuff out there with Venus in the 8th house. If you're having troubles in your relationship, if it's not going well, Venus in the 8th house can mean that you go to the root of the matter, that you just psychologically want to know what's going on, and the transformation happens, whatever that is, for better or for worse. But first and foremost, think about rethinking the career. If you say, Veerle, I don't have a career, this could be with a parent, that a parent is undergoing not a transformation, but it's going like reassessing something. A parent can have a different point of view, or your relationship with a parent could shift because of that. You're rethinking of it. On another level, it is simply how you want to show yourself in the world, your 10th house. There's something about your social status that can shift. Taurians, for you, this Mercury retrograde starts off quite fun, quite good, because it's in your 9th house. So you could be returning, the 9th house is travel, so you could be returning to a place where you already have been. That's all very lovely and nice because this Mercury trines Jupiter. So this is quite good energy for you. But then it turns into your 8th house, this Mercury. So the 8th house is a very deep house. It's a psychological house. It's the house of death and rebirth. So your mind will be on those topics around that time. Your mind will be on serious stuff. If you're the light Taurian, maybe you have your Mercury in Gemini, or your Venus in Gemini. A lot of Taurians have that. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Then this is a bit more of a deeper month for you, a bit more of an intense month. You want to go also, if you're having psychological problems or psychological challenges, you want to go to the root of the matter and you want to know what's going on. This is squaring off this in Neptune, with Neptune in the 11th house. So watch your tongue when it comes to people, like-minded people, associations, groups of people, friends, what you're saying and what they are saying. Take it with a piece of salt. You are a bit more prone to misinterpret some things, and the other way around. So what you are saying, sometimes friends could, or groups of people could also take it the wrong way. That is because of this Neptune here. For you, this Neptune to be watching out for is definitely around your social connections. Your social connections, yeah. Connections are always social, aren't they? But anyway, so this Mars in your 8th house is doing a lot of work to dig deep on a psychological level, right? So it's Mars in the 8th house is also about realness and authenticity. Things can be brought on the table that has to do with intimacy. Right? So it's not just sexuality, it's deeper than that. It's intimacy, it's vulnerability. So you could be digging deep to, especially when you are in a relationship, and Venus is in your 7th house. So you want to connect with that other person if you are in a relationship. But certain things need to be looked at in a deeper way. But enjoy Venus in the 7th house. That's lovely. That's lovely. In relationships, I mean you want to get along with people for sure. Geminis, this is in your 8th house happening, this Mercury retrograde. It starts off there. So it starts off quite deep for you. The 8th house is the house of death and rebirth. The 8th house is the house of deep psychological stuff. So there could be some things here brought to the table, but it's trining Jupiter. So you're dealing with it in a very good way, and you're understanding it better. The bigger picture and the smaller picture, you could say. You might also think about attracting money with investments, for instance. The money that you share with another person, with your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, or business partner. You could be thinking about that, or rethinking a loan or something like that. You know, it's also a financial house. And then it's going to go into your 7th house, this Mercury of Sagittarius. So for you, this Mercury square Neptune mostly has to do with your relationship and with your work. So this is a very crucial, important month for you, you Geminis, because you're a mutable sign, and this Mercury square Neptune is going on in mutable signs as well, Sagittarius and Pisces. So be aware of, with this Mercury in your 7th house, you could be dealing with a wiseacre. You could be dealing with someone who knows best and all of that. And it kind of clashes with the 10th house. So if you don't work, it kind of clashes with your status or with how you want to present yourself in the world. And on another level, it can clash indeed with your work. So there is a bit of a challenge there with not maybe knowing the direction of work, or your spouse is not really agreeing what you're doing there. Whatever it is, Mars is in your 7th house. So you will have to deal with, if you are in a connection with someone who's quite, firm and who's quite fiery, and they have a point with this Mars in the 7th house, they have a point. Of course, you don't have to let yourself walk all over you, but you will have to kind of try to negotiate. Let's put it that way. Venus is in your 6th house, which shows it's a bit of a strange time to have that, because it's the end of the year. A lot of people are slowing down, but you probably not. Venus in the 6th house, you can even enjoy it a little bit more, your work or your day-to-day routines. Cancerians, this is an important month for you because you're gonna have your full moon in Cancer on the 27th. So on the very end of the month, you're gonna have your full moon at 4 degrees of Cancer. So you're gonna be showing what you want. You're gonna be showing and saying and speaking your truth, what you need as well, when it comes to other people. And also the beginning of the month starts off with the Mercury retrograde in the 7th house. So you are reviewing a significant relationship. If you're single, for instance, this could mean that someone comes into your life and you're thinking about it. You're assessing them. You're trying to find out who they are. In an existing relationship, it means that there could be a crisis in an existing relationship, but it's there to bring things on the table that you can fix, right? It depends on the karma, of course, if it's going to be fixable or not, but you can do only your best. So yes, it could mean like some conversations that need to be done, and also looking in a relationship, the long term and the short term. What is more important for you? Then the Mercury goes back into your 6th house of work. So there will be a lot of work for you as well. Again, it's a bit strange, the end of the year, that you're going to be focusing a lot on work, but you're going to be focusing a lot on your day-to-day work. And it's going to be a little bit, you could say, be flexible. That's my advice, because this Mercury square Neptune, this not knowing where you're heading, is on that work and daily routine. So probably you're not really knowing for the next year how you are going to do your routines and how you are going to do your work. Whatever it is, go with the flow a little bit. Don't try to force it and control it too much. And because you are rethinking your work, and you're not going to see the results before the 9th of January anyways, right? So you're working on that. But Mars is in Sagittarius in your 6th house. So a lot of problems you can fix on the work level, on your day-to-day. It's great energy for that. Venus in the 5th house. So there's a lot of mixed energies going on here. Whilst your relationship is, if you have one, is really tested here. For those of you who are single, this can be an amazing energy. With Venus in your 5th house, you could deeply fall in love. And I say deeply because it's in Scorpio. So there could be, so for those of you who are single, this could be a new person coming in. And, you know, they are very much putting your heart on fire, you could say, because of this scorpionic energy. It's deep, it's real, it's authentic, and it's very emotional at the same time. And with this Mercury retrograde in your 7th house, it could mean that you're reassessing your love life. That you think, I used to think that about my love life, but actually, I want to go more into another direction when it comes to love and how I see love. So very interesting, for sure. And Leos now. Mercury retrograde in the 6th house. It starts off with that. So for you, dear Leos, it could mean that you start off the month with, you know, something that you want to do different on a work level. So you're one of those people that when you have a work that you're not really content about, or you want to make some changes, it's all possible here, especially when it comes to structure. Also your health. You could be dealing with some issues that you already have and that you want to tackle in a new way, in a different way. Maybe you go too much to alternative doctors and you want to go to, you know, the classical doctor, or the other way around. Whatever it is, it's doing something different. Then this Mercury comes back into the 5th house and squares up to Neptune. What this whole month is all about is Mercury square Neptune in your 5th house. So you could be, there is something about, definitely about sexuality, intimacy, all of that good stuff. It's questioned here with the Mercury square Neptune. So you could be, for those of you who are single, this could be really it, that you're meeting someone and it's testing you're a bit anxious and then insecure about what is going on here, and is this real, is this not real, you know, that kind of vibe. It's not necessarily a bad energy because this is in Sagittarius and you are also a fire sign Leo, so it trines your energy. But still, if you're questioning yourself, it's normal, especially with a new person, and know that after the 9th, 10th of January, you're going to have that clarity. If you are in a relationship, it could mean that some topics around sexuality, intimacy, the things that you do together that you find both of you enjoyable, that you are questioning this and that you want to revamp it or see it in a different way. It could also mean children. So that there is a child that you're a bit like, what's going on with this child? Like, or conversations that you did with your child. You have to really watch out here for not being that wiseacre, what I just said. But again, this Mercury is trining your energy. I would not worry too much about it. And Mars in the 5th house is definitely doing things to enjoy yourself. Go out there, have fun. Do sports that you like, enjoy the good things of life, and go out there to a theater or go out there to travel if you like. It's the 5th house is a house of all the good stuff that we enjoy, right? Whether it is, depending on what you enjoy, whether it is sex, whether it is going to the theater, whether it is going out in a cafe, or all of these things, you know, enjoy it. And then Venus is in your 4th house at home. So you will be one of those people that probably, you know, with Venus in the 4th, going to do these festivities at home and making yourself good meals and, but also making your home a very beautiful place, right? With Venus there, and that's nice. Virgos, this is starting off in your 5th house, the Mercury retrograde. And of course, you're ruled by Mercury. You're saying, oh, I know this energy. It happens 3 times a year with me that I'm just going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. So Mercury in your 5th house could mean that 5th house stuff is questioned. So if you have children, for instance, it could mean that a child goes through a phase where they are reassessing something. You have to be, again, very careful. Just what I said to the Leos, that in your communication with a child, and it doesn't matter how old they are, but give them the space. Don't be the wiseacre and blah, 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 blah. It could also mean communications with your children. It's a little bit more foggy around there. On another level, it's love. It's about you're rethinking things about love, with that Mercury retrograde. It's in a fellow earth sign here because it's in Capricorn. You're rethinking a love situation and talking about it. And because this Mercury trines Jupiter, which is Mercury, and the ruler of the 7th house is Jupiter. Another level, it could mean that you're going to meet someone. If you are single, for instance, a love story, a new love story for sure here. And it's, you are reassessing love because of this. You could also go back to an old hobby that you once did and pick it up again. And you could go back to doing some sports that you used to do. Or a project that you're going back towards. Now, the Mercury square Neptune, which is happening 3 times on the dates that I said in the introduction, is very important for you because you are a Virgo. That is a mutable sign, and this is all happening in mutable signs. This Mercury in Sagittarius and Neptune in your 7th house. This is about key areas of your life, which is a significant other and also your home life. So there could be things that are very unsure. There could be things, if you are in a relationship, for instance, there could be communications around literally selling and buying a new home, for instance. Mercury in your 4th house, going backwards and forwards, or relatives, because of these festivities as well. It's about relatives and getting into a bit of a, you could say, exciting and stressful communication with your spouse, if you or with your girlfriend, boyfriend, with your partner. So that could be like things are not going the right way there, or there are some interests that are paradoxal. I hope I explain myself well. Anyway, whatever it is, Mars is in your 4th house. So be aware of tensions at the home front. And if you want to use Mars in the best way in the 4th house, it's working from home. So you could be working from home or, rearranging the furniture and all of that, being very active at home. Then you use this energy at a very positive way. You don't want to use this energy to kind of discuss with everyone, right? With this Mars and Mercury in your 4th house, I advise you, if you have Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, don't do it at home. Don't do it at your home. Do it somewhere else, where this energy is not going to play out. Venus in the 3rd is very social, though. Very social. It's and that's very nice. There's Venus in Scorpio, trining Neptune as well. So with your siblings, there could be a nice energy going on for you and a caring energy, or people in your neighborhood, neighbors, or you're doing Christmas Eve or you're doing New Year's Eve with neighbors. Fantastic. You're going to have so much fun and enjoying it. Librans, this Mercury retrograde is in your 4th house. So this could be a going back to your roots, literally, with the Mercury in your 4th house, or, seeing relatives again. And with the Mercury there in Capricorn, it's quite nice energy indeed. And but what you're rethinking could also be on another level, your home, literally, that you might be thinking of moving or selling a new home. You could be doing that. Or you're just looking at pictures, from the past, and Mercury in the 4th house, and you're just a bit more nostalgic around that time. Now, Mercury squaring up to Neptune those 3 times that I said in the beginning of the video, this is happening in your 3rd house. So for you, definitely watch your communication. You're having Mars there as well. So that's a lot of energy in the communicative house. So watch your mouth for sure. And also it could be that people are aggressive towards you. If that is the case, know that where they are coming from. Don't feed the drama. Just distance yourself if you're feeling like, they are not doing this in a respectful way. You just leave, right? And this squares up to the 6th house. So in Neptune, it could be your work as well. So colleagues, watch your tongue there for sure. And the colleagues that want to attack you, don't let that happen. Again, point out that you want to be treated respectfully. And if there's going to be some things that need to be changed, that you have to write that out, and that you will have to follow a process in order to make those changes. Venus is in the 2nd house, or you're going to buy beautiful stuff. You're going to buy stuff that you could purchase some stuff that you really, really love. I love Venus in the 2nd house. I really do. Then I always kind of do those purchases that are very, that I so much enjoy. It doesn't matter what it is. You enjoy it. It's Venus. So, Scorpios, dear Scorpios, you're having, of course, starting off with Venus in your sign. That is amazing. Venus is going to be in your sign from the 5th to the 29th. Enjoy it. All eyes are on you. You Scorpios, especially with the Scorpio rising, you're kind of magnetic. You draw people in because of your energy. You don't have to say too much, And these are the strong personalities as well. I'm not saying that other signs are not strong, not at all. But your strength is in the being and in being authentic, and just you are scanning everyone. But now with that Venus in your sign, you are attracting a lot of people. So if you are single, this is energy. Great time to meet people, and people are going to come to you. The 3rd house is very much where Mercury goes retrograde. So it's in Capricorn, so that goes well with your energy. But you could be, so be aware of passwords and all of that. Write them down somewhere where you can find them again, or keys that you're not going to get lost, or backups from computers and whatever. Do all that stuff. You could be traveling, going back to a place where you already were, maybe skiing or something. Why not? But it's definitely, or you could be reconnecting with 3rd house people, which is siblings, which is neighbors, people from the neighborhood, and all of that. Then this Mercury squares up to Neptune in your 2nd house to the 5th house. So the dates go back to the introduction where I said those days. But this is about your worth. Your worth. Mercury in the 2nd house is about reassessing your worth. Could be a financial thing. Could be a financial thing because maybe you have Neptune in your 5th house, given out way too much money to enjoy yourself, or maybe even projects. And now you have to question, how can I make this more secure in a way? So you could improve your finances for sure, but first your financial situation could be going a little bit less good, right? Because the Mercury retrograde squaring up to Neptune, there's some fogginess out there. So work with it to improve that on another level, because you can certainly improve your financial status. That's what I'm trying to say here. But you're going to see the results after the 9th of January, when this is all going a bit more forwards. It's also your self-worth, right? You could be working a lot about that. You could be working about raising the bar, especially with people. The 5th house is the love house. So you could be dealing there with maybe because you're so crazy about someone. Scorpios, they feel so intense that they are lowering their bar just to be valued by others. I don't think this is going to happen too much now, especially with this Venus in your 1st house. But whatever it is, you can work now on improving that, not lowering your bar anymore. but on the contrary, seeing your own value. Venus in the first house. And because of that, you're kind of different in your love connections. Mars is in your second house, so a lot of activity in that second house, which is good for hustling for the money, which is good for re-establishing a better financial situation for you. You've got the whole, it's a bit strange to do that in December, but it's the right time for you. Sagittarians, wow. Sagittarius. I have a Sagittarius rising. I'm looking forward for this time with all that energy in our sign. It's all about us, isn't it? It's going to be all, we are going to be in the spotlight for sure. With Mars in our sign, the Sun, Mercury, and all these things happening there with the Mercury as well. Wow. We have to watch our tongues for sure, for sure. But the ones amongst us who are humble, you cannot go wrong too much. You cannot go wrong too much. The beginning of the month, though, could focus a little bit more on your money and the things that you want to do different when it comes to money. Also your value, but it trines Jupiter, which is you. So I think there's going to be an improvement of your financial status after this Mercury retrograde. So when it's, the 9th of January, you're going to see things unfolding in a very positive way. But this Mercury square Neptune, as I said in the beginning of the introduction, is definitely for you. This Mercury is in your sign. So check out the 3 dates that I was saying when Mercury is exactly squaring up to Neptune. But these are the days that you want to put into your agenda and watch out for that energy, because you are going to be a little bit more prone towards deception, whether it is your own deception or deception from the 4th house, which is relatives and people that you know. So be aware of that. It's not too much to be scared of, but it's to be, the more you are aware, the better. Mars is in your sign though, so you are going to be very aggressive when people are going to try to attack you. See it also a little bit more as, where are they coming from, and can I decide to say no thank you very much, and I have to put up with it or not. Mars in the 1st house though, and also Mercury and so on. And in January, I mean on the 1st, I think, is it on the very end of January, of December, Venus goes into your sign as well. I think it's on the 29th. Let me double check this. Yes, on the 29th, 30th of the month, you're going to have New Year's Eve on your ascendant or on your sun or on your moon, which is amazing. You're going to have so much fun. You're going to have so much fun. So use your Sagittarian energy, which is going to be highlighted here. Use it in a most positive way, which is being bold, which is being you in an optimistic way, which is you want to grow and you want that other people that you love grow with you. You don't want to attack people too much. So that's the only thing that with this Mars here in the 1st house, and especially when you are triggered, you could say, of course, for some of you Sagittarians, it is needed. It is needed, this energy. With Mars, Mercury there in the 1st, you need to say your truth. And you're going to. But it's in the way how you're doing it, Do it with some gentleness and not, in that typical Sagittarian way. Yes, what I'm wearing is what I'm wearing. You better like it or not. It's very Sagittarian, cocky kind of way. But just say, hey, it's take it or leave it. I like it. If you don't like my dress, sorry, I like it. Who cares? And you can say that with a smile on your face. And that is in the more positive way of tackling something. It's something very stupid that I'm saying here now. Probably it's going to be something deeper than that. But anyway, that is the vibe here. You're going to feel so fired up in December. And it's not, for the Sagittarians, it's not about starting to do new things in January. No, it's like starting to do new things in December. So do something new in December that considers your life path. The 1st house is your life path. It's your destiny. So what do you want to do? Also for relationships, it's going to be so, in existing relationships, you're going to say like, this is it. you know, take it or leave it. And in new relationships, that can be very attractive, can be very, I mean, with Venus in your first house, yeah, you're going to be attracting people for sure. Venus is in the 12th house though, for most of the month. I mean, up until the 29th when it shifts into your sign. So you could mean that relationships or enjoying yourself is a bit on the behind the scenes in a way. So when it comes to love, let's say you're single, that could be something developing behind the scenes that you cannot show. Of course, be always careful with that, don't, be realistic in that respect. But I think with Venus then appearing this could be your story, that you could not talk about, you're in a new relationship, for instance, but you cannot openly show it yet, for some reason, whatever the reason is. And then around the 29th, boom, you're showing your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, to everyone else. And it's very romantic energy as well. Capricorns, this is of course happening in your first house, the Mercury retrograde, and it's very positive because it's trining Jupiter there. So you are profiling yourself in a different way. You are coming and showing up in a different way. And you've been thinking about that, and that's a good thing. Now, with Venus in the 11th house, this is lovely for you. I mean, Venus and Scorpio in your 11th house, you will have fun with social activities. Go out there. Don't sit there alone at home, even when you are alone. Just, subscribe to a certain, I don't know, whatever it is, but an event that you can meet new people. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Venus and Scorpio, it will probably be very intense connections and intense meetings with people. And if you want to meet someone new, it could really be very interesting. Probably someone that you're going to meet in the friend circle or in groups of people. This Mercury square Neptune that's happening 3 times, as I said in the introduction, is happening in the 12th house. Now, this is a hidden house. This is the house of the unconscious. So your dreams are telling you something. It confuses you. It confuses your mind because you've got Neptune in the 3rd house. So it's like the unconscious energy is connecting with your mind here. But it's in the beginning, you feel like you're in La La Land for some reason. You feel like, well, is this... Mercury in the 12th house can be very psychic. A psychic position to have. But with squaring up to Neptune, it can mean that you lose your keys. You're losing your clé. That's the French word for keys. But anyway, you losing your clé, I would say it again, your keys. And, stuff with computers and so on, make sure that you have some backups, even as I say now. Because this is a bit of a confusing time. You could have a lot of meals and you don't know what to do with it. That kind of Neptunian vibe around your communication. Emails get lost and in translation and all of that kind of energy. Could also mean that connections with siblings, with neighbors, it's a bit all fuggy. But whatever it is, this Mercury is not doing that to annoy you. It is to bring up new perspectives, ultimately. And so that when Mercury goes into your sign again, then next year, you're going to see clearly. And you're going to see more clearly about yourself as well, and about the patterns that you were run by, that you even didn't know that were run by, right? You could, the inner critic, for instance, that is very much something that we've inherited from our parents. And you could now see that the things that you're saying to yourself, it's not you. It's a parent, like, for instance, you have to work hard for the money, and maybe now you are discovering, I don't. I have to work smart, yes, but hard, no. You see, these kind of things can happen to you. Aquarians, this starts off with Mercury in your 12th house. So for you, the 12th house is the unconscious house. You could be dreaming. You could be having some dreams that gives you an explanation basically of the bigger picture of your life, because this Mercury is going to trine Jupiter as well in the beginning of the month. So it's going to give you some clues of what's happening with you. And on another level, this could mean, yes, losing your keys, losing information, and you don't know, you're a bit more confused. You know, Mercury in the 12th house is often, when you see that in a natal chart, it's psychic energy. But here it is in this 12th house, trining Jupiter. It's like you're seeing and the bigger picture, and you could also see the short term here. But then Mercury shifts into your 11th house, squaring up to your 2nd house. And that's going to happen 3 times, as I said in the beginning of the introduction. Those dates there, this has to do with your goals. So there's something about a goal that you have, or something that is future oriented, that is not ideal for you, or that is not realistic. It squares up to Neptune in your 2nd house. Maybe you have a goal of start a business and you need $1 million for that, and you don't have it. You know, it's a simple example. But anyway, that is your finances, the 2nd house. It's not really in a realistic way. So there could be objectives and goals for the futures that you're having, but just go with the flow with them, I would say. They're going to become clearer after the 9th to 10th of January. On another level, it's friends. There could be a friend who's going through a very phase of, I don't know who I am, you know, or you don't know what they bring on the table. They don't know what you bring on the table. So there could be some fogginess and not clarity. Try to be as clear as you can, is the only thing that you can do. But also don't make conclusions too quickly because of this energy. It could mean that, for instance, in the beginning, you're thinking, oh, that friend, I don't know about him or her. I mean, she's this and that. And then after this retrograde is over, you're saying, but actually, they're better than I thought they were. Or the other way around. Maybe you were putting people on a pedestal. If you're doing that, it's not good. It's not good with the Neptune. Putting people on a pedestal now amongst your friends, it's like they're gonna fall off the pedestal, right? So don't deceive yourself. It's not so much that those friends are gonna deceive you. It could, but not necessarily. On a level of when you work for yourself, the 11th house is also an income house. So if you work for yourself, this could be a bit of a tricky energy here with Mercury squaring Neptune. You know, your revenues, or your income, it's a bit more, you know, you don't know where it's heading, and the financial structures. Be very clear and be very much, I would say, the intention being the right way, because with this Neptune, it's like you could go criminal ways very easily, you could say, with Mercury squaring Neptune, but that's going to backfire because it's going to restore itself, right? When Mercury goes direct after the 9th to 10th of January, you will see where this is all going. But so it could mean that you're having a little bit less income, and then after this retrograde is over, it's even higher than you have ever had. So that you have to restore some formulas there around your income. But a lot of energy in the 11th house. So if you have your own business, again, you could put a lot of energy in social media, in networking, in doing all that kind of stuff. You know, those events that you want to do, and you're probably the initiator of it. Very, very good indeed. Venus is in the 10th house, so that means that you're loving your work. You could be, if you do work, you could be attracting a person that is very benefic for you, that helps you out, or a boss that is more gentle to you, or more seeing who you are. So you could be getting a bonus, for instance, here. If you don't work, Venus in the 10th house is that people see you more as this charming individual, as someone who wants to be a person that delivers good energy to the universe, basically. Pisceans, last but not least, this Mercury retrograde is in your 11th house. So it starts off with the friend's house, and there could be you getting in, because of this festive kind of energy, getting in touch with friends again that you haven't been seeing for a long time. There could also, because this Mercury is trining Jupiter, it's more of a positive vibe. So it's not the friends that you don't want to see. And even if it is, you just don't connect, right? You can always say no, thank you very much, or just, not going into it, because you have a choice always, right? Now, it could also mean that you're rethinking your goals at the end of the year, and you kind of know where you need to adjust, and then after the 9th to 10th of next year, you might be having totally different goals, right? You might be having not the goal to study anymore, or just the goal to study, or the goal to have a new job, to have a new hobby, whatever it is. Something new there will show itself next year when it comes to your goals for the future. But this Mercury square Neptune is very important for you. So the dates that I said in the beginning of the introduction, put them in your agenda, because this Mercury is in your 10th house, the highest point of the horoscope, going to square up to Neptune in your first house. So if you do have a job, if you work, there could be some miscommunications. It's not that someone is doing this deliberately or you are doing it deliberately, but know that communication can be a little bit off. Watch your tongue when it comes to communication towards bosses and whatnot, because Mars is in your 10th house. So you could be having a bossy boss, whether it is a man or a woman, and that tells you the truth and so on. Let them tell their truth. But of course, you decide what you're going to do with it. But a lot of energy in your 10th house, you could be thinking of changing a job as well. So you could be thinking of, if this is not it, I want to change it. And I invite you to do that after, starting a new job after January. When Mercury goes direct, is it on the 3rd? Around the 3rd, Mercury already goes direct there. So yes, you can only make sure that your intentions, what's your intentions? A lot. Before you speak and before you do actions, always investigate your intentions. What is your intent? Is your intention to, your ego, your fear? Or is your intention positive and it's coming from a place of love? Go for it. Venus is in your 9th house. It's an amazing time for you, if you can, of course, to travel or to teach or to study. For some of you, they might have been some exams going on. Venus in the 9th means that you're actually enjoying studying, for instance. Or if you're single, you could meet someone whilst you are traveling. You could meet the love of your life whilst you are traveling, with Venus in your 9th house. Of course, not for all the Pisceans, but for some of you who are open to that. Venus in the 9th house is also having fun with 9th house stuff, which is the astrology, which is philosophy, which is the culture, going to a cultural event, for instance, going to a theater, a ballet, whatever it is, something that is cultural can give you a lot of joy now. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. I totally hope that you're going to have a good month and enjoy the festivities if you are doing them. And I wish you a very, very good December. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.